Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. Today I'm joined by the brilliant Mark Blake, someone I've known for many years and is often referred to by me as the hairdresser's trichologist, because honestly, you are the go-to expert when it comes to hair and scalp health. So if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, just let us know what a trichologist is, and then we can dive into the big subject of, is Bristol hair water actually making people's hair fall out?
Okay, yeah. So I'm a trichologist. I deal in hair and scalp disorders. I'm used to looking at your scalp and sniffing your scalp and looking at your follicular orifices, which sounds very rude but isn't. That's the hole where your hair grows out of. And I'm sort of globally recognized trichologist, and I work all over the world. I've just been working in Norway and off to Finland, and this weekend I'm off to Inverness working. So I spend my life getting you the hair you deserve. So, this. I saw this in the newspaper over the weekend. It sparked my interest as well because, if your hair isn't right, then it causes great concern. And obviously, drinking water and bathing in water is a big thing because you're putting something that possibly could be a little bit toxic inside you, and that's going to have plenty of ramifications for what might be happening, and you pumping out this sort of hair that might not be the best quality hair.
Yeah, okay. I think one of the biggest things that you taught me throughout my career, I said we've known each other for literally, it must be 15 years now from our days at Sean Hannah to where we are now. It's all very good us being hairdressers and being able to deal with this fabric that's coming out of your scalp. However, the hair needs a really, if you are worried about any form of hair loss, any kind of thinning, anything like that, it generally, the first thing we always look at is the environment that the hair's growing through. So, and the scalp. So, is that kind of what a trichologist does? What's the difference between a trichologist and a dermatologist?
Yeah, a dermatologist specializes in lots of the areas of skin, whereas a trichologist just specializes in the hair and the scalp. Scalp health is directly linked to hair health. So if you imagine your scalp is the soil that the hair is growing out of. So if you've got dodgy soil in your garden or in your allotment, you're going to get dodgy sort of vegetables. So you really need to make sure that it's in the best possible condition to grow the best possible hair. And also looking at, what comes from within, because your hair is the second most prolific cell producer in the body. You grow between zero point 0.3 to 0.5 millimeters of hair a day. You've got between 100 and 150,000 hairs on your head. If you put that 0.3, 0.5 millimeters end on end, multiply it by to 100 to 150,000, all those little bits added up together means you'll grow 36 meters of hair in one day. It's the second most prolific cell producer in the body, but you can only grow it out of what you eat or retain. And so, this whole thing is we take it for granted, really. We fairly sort of abuse our scalps and don't know what we're eating to make sure of it. Hair is made of about 85% protein. It doesn't take a genius to work out. You got to eat protein to grow 36 meters of it a day.
Wow, wow, that's a lot of information. It grows 30, how many bus lengths is 36 meters? One hair could be 36 meters in a whole day.
If you put all those little bits added together, that's what
Crikey.
you, and it just pumps out of our head what we eat or retain. And so, yeah, it's we got to make it.
So, so the scalp is the soil, the hair is
Yeah,
the plant. So
yeah.
if you're watering a plant with dodgy water, is the plant going to have less chance of surviving or thriving?
Yeah, well, it depends if it's toxic. If it's just normal water, that's not. But you get a lot of water that these days has phosphates when heavy rain coming off the farm's field, sewage being released into it. We have all these sort of minerals. Some minerals are good, some minerals are not so good, and we can actually have too much of some things or not enough of things. Certainly, if the water in Bristol is quite hard, and it can cause a lot of eczema and various other conditions as well. Plus, it can make our hair quite dry and brittle.
Yeah. So this has come out from the Sunday Times that have been talking about it, because I think a lot of people, what the reason this has come about is there's been a lot of people who aren't from Bristol who've now moved to Bristol. There's a massive, I don't know what it's like in London in terms of whether it's hard or soft water, but there's a lot of people particularly moving from London, but they're moving from all over the place to Bristol. It's a very desirable area. They're coming to Bristol and they're just finding that their hair is changing or their skin, and they've got dry, like just dry skin. And I know when I came from Bournemouth up to Bristol, it was very different. Like drinking tap water was pretty like disgusting, and even still I struggle with it now. But whereas I think people who've grown up in Bristol, they don't really know any different.
Yeah. And I would imagine, tasting the tap water, you're going to get a sense of it. I was working down in Cornwall the other week, and I've got to say, the tap water just tasted amazing. And I was just like, wow, this is just fantastic. And the water in London has usually been through 7 other people before you drink it. And, that has certain sort of problems as well, because what we're finding is that female contraceptives are being urinated out. They don't quite get cleaned up, and so you're drinking that in. When the water is going out into the sort of rivers and channels, the fish fertility rates are going down. So there's a lot of things we don't know quite what we're doing, drinking, or I think possibly the water authorities do know what they're doing but don't care. And that's the other problem, really. So yeah, we
Yeah,
have.
there was that thing about, was it E. coli? There was a big E. coli thing recently. Was it
Yeah.
in Devon?
Yeah, hey, E. coli, you're going to lose a lot of hair, with something like that. The body just sheds hair the moment it's got infection. And this is also something we're finding people having inflammatory conditions within their stomach. So, anything like that, you're going to find that your hair isn't such good quality, and then the water is impacting it on the outside. And the latest research suggests, all these people who think, I don't blow dry my hair, I just leave it to dry naturally. And the latest research suggests that is the worst thing you can do, because
Mm.
the hair swells, and so that it swells from the inside, and so it gets bigger, but it stays bigger for longer. So the latest research says you should blow dry your hair on a gentle heat from 15 centimeters away, and that's better than leaving it to dry naturally. Because you're actually fracturing your hair from the inside where it swells, and your hair, if it's wet, stays more vulnerable for longer. So yeah, that's another breaking thing.
I must say that my daughter is 6, and we take her swimming, and she like hates having her hair dried. You think a top hairdresser having a daughter is going to send her into school with this amazing hair?
No, who's the top hairdresser?
South of Cheltenham and Gloucester. Anyway, yeah, no, literally, I started drying her hair with her hairdryer. She's desperate to have hair like Rapunzel. Her sister's got really thick hair. She's really struggled with it, but I started drying it with her hairdryer. Like you said, getting the moisture out, and it's smoother, it's healthier, and it literally has created a much. I can feel that the environment's healthy at the roots because we're washing it with Premier from Kerastase, which gets all the calcium away, which is good. But then, just as I say, giving it a really good dry. And how we wash it has been important. 2 shampoos, towel, dry the hair, put the conditioner on.
And the one thing is to never go to bed with wet hair, because that's the perfect breeding ground for fungus. Because damp, warm conditions and dark conditions is a perfect breeding ground for that. So, and your hair is vulnerable when you're turning around. So never go to bed with wet hair. That's a huge no-no these days.
Never
And
go to bed
also,
with wet. Wow.
yeah, try not to actually put conditioner on the scalp. Most conditioners aren't designed for the scalp. They're designed to smell quite nicely. Yeah, most conditioners are designed for the hair, not the scalp. So they're too fragrant for the scalp. The scalp's quite sensitive.
Yeah, that makes sense. So put it on the mid lengths and ends, work your way up, smooth down the hair's cuticle, just let it do its thing.
Yeah, because most hair at the root isn't damaged, so it probably doesn't need anything. And never think of it as washing your hair. Think of it as cleansing your scalp. The hair doesn't need washing as often as the scalp. You should treat your scalp like any other part of your body. So if you only shower once a week, only wash your hair once a week. But most people shower most days. And so like 75% of North Americans wash their hair twice a day. I'm not suggesting you should wash it twice a day, but you don't see Americans with dodgy hair. Most shampoos and the shampoos you use have humectants that take moisture out of the air and put it into your hair. And so they do not damage it. It's no wives' tale that your mothers and grandmothers told you that you'll be damaging or drying out your hair. And it was probably true in their day, but because they have all these lovely buffering agents now, they will not damage your hair. You can wash your hair as often as you want and you will not damage it.
Cool. Well, that makes sense as well. And then the other thing. So it's normally stress, diet, or hormones are the main things. I suppose medication could be a thing. Who's not stressed? Who's not stressed these days? Stress causes hair loss. Hair loss can cause more stress. It's a vicious cycle. Is that a thing?
Yeah, stress is huge. It's what we call an androgen releaser. So it's a male sort of hormone. And the hair doesn't like these male hormones if you're sensitive to it. Not all hair is sensitive to it. But if your hair is sensitive to that, the more of this male hormone, the more shedding. Plus, the other thing is with diet as well. Lots of people on diets, they like this fasting diet that's really good for getting your sort of diabetes and everything else under control. But your hair needs energy, and it is awful for your hair to go on these fasting diets. So you might look slimmer, but you'll look bolder as well. So you need to feed your hair every sort of 4 to 5 hours, really. The liver's energy only stores for about that time. And then what you'll find is that sort of, if it's not getting energy, it shuts off the energy to the heart, the lungs, the kidneys and everything, because it needs that to actually grow everything else. And like I say, the heart, the lungs, the kidneys. And so the hair gets shut down for this.
And are there any particularly good foods to enhance hair growth that you'd recommend?
Red meat is fantastic, but you'll die younger. You'll look better in your coffin at a younger age. So no, red meat is great. The best thing to eat is eggs. At the moment, eggs are really good for you. Next year, they'll probably be bad for you. But you might as well eat them while they're good for you, because they have iron, B12, vitamin D, and biotin. They've got everything your hair needs. So, and you see in the supermarkets where you have those 2 eggs and a bit of spinach. It's just a perfect hair food. If you're unsure what to eat, just eat eggs, so you won't go wrong until next year when they're going to be bad for you.
Amazing. So what do you do if you're a vegan?
If you're going to vegan, do you know what? I find most vegans are really good with their diet. They've looked into it. They've made an informed decision. So yeah, they're the people I worry less about. I tend to see more problems from vegetarians because they're cutting back, but they do it as a lifestyle choice, but they're not very knowledgeable. Whereas vegans are quite knowledgeable with it, really. Yeah, nuts are a great thing. And the one thing is also, this time of year, you get no vitamin D out in the sunshine from October to April. So, we need to make sure we get enough vitamin D in it. Vitamin D is a fat soluble, so only take it after you've eaten. Never take it on an empty tummy. But that's a key one. We're seeing more and more hair issues from people who have lower vitamin D levels.
So obviously you're a trichologist. I've referred lots of clients through Noco Hair to you. Lots of people may be dealing with like some form of alopecia, some just general hair loss, and they kind of got things that are going on. People often think that they're the only person in that situation. I'd say at least 50% of the people that I deal with are experiencing some form of hair loss, probably even higher than that, or some limp hair or something along those lines. If you've got one last bit of advice, and if anybody wants to get hold of you, how would they do that?
Yeah, well, on Instagram, I'm just Mark Blake Trichologist. The one bit of advice is eat healthily. Rainbow diet. That's the one thing. Plenty of protein. Like I say, your hair is made up of 85% protein, so you need to eat protein. Always have breakfast. Breakfast is the most hair important meal of the day. And don't go into Holland and Barrett and just buy tablets willy-nilly. Nobody needs 30,000 times their recommended daily amount. Not enough vitamins, you'll lose your hair. Too much vitamins, you'll lose your hair. So just little and often, really. And you should keep your hair going. But any hair problems, that's what I do. I specialize in reading blood tests and making sure you get the hair you deserve and keeping it.
Cool. And yeah, just a generally healthy exercise, rainbow diet, and chill out.
And get a filter if you live in Bristol as well, because yeah, that water is making your hair drier and more brittle. And so you need to make sure that really, if you've got a water softener, you're taking out some of that horrible stuff that's making it feel as though you've left soap on you and it feels a bit like dry and cracking. And that's what's happening to your hair. And always, if you can, use a conditioner, but towel dry your hair before you put the conditioner on. That's also going to help your hair stop to be as dry.
Conditioner is expensive, so like you're just washing it down the sink. So you open up the hair's cuticle, clean underneath it, and then you've got to close down the cuticle afterwards. If the hair's raised up, the cuticle's raised and the hair's still full of moisture, you put your conditioner on, it just slips off. So if you can towel dry it, get the moisture out, put the conditioner on, let it sit down like this, it's going to make your hair shinier because the light's going to come in and bounce off it for a start. It'll feel smoother, and you're not putting all that conditioner down the sinks.
And also, you want to get the conditioner on the inside of your hair as well, because when you're in the shower and you wash your hair, it feels great. The moment you step out the shower door, if you've got long hair, it feels knotty. And that's because the water is all running out and it leaves all little holes and gaps in your hair. So if you can get that conditioner inside your hair, it's like a flexible polyfiller. And so it allows your hair to bend rather than just snap and break.
Do you see any issues with the type of brush that people are using? Are they using things that are too strong, pulling on the hair?
Yeah, and also they're brushing from here rather than from here and working up. And that's a classic mistake, really. So yeah, be very careful. Hair when it's wet is a lot weaker than when it's dry. So you need to make sure that you're brushing it appropriate, wide tooth comb, and just keep working your way up to the roots. Don't go down here and get a knot and try and drag it out. It's just going to go beyond this elastic limit and stretch and break, and you can't repair it then.
Yeah, I think things like also like the Tangle Teaser, the Manta brush. There's lots of like really good soft bristle brushes that are
Yeah,
out
they're
there.
great. The tangle.
So, yeah, just stay away from the like Denman brushes. A lot of people are coming in saying that they got some kind of issue with hair loss or it's thinning in the front, and you see them. I literally give them a brush and they use a Denman brush and they like pull it back like that, and you just like you can see why, because it's got this traction alopecia. It's just being snapped or at least pulled from the scalp and the most
The other
fragile
thing
areas.
is to exfoliate your scalp every 6 weeks. You know, you exfoliate your face, but people have this invisible line here where they don't exfoliate their scalp. So scalp exfoliation is a big thing, and it gets overlooked all the time. But your skin on your face ages at 6 times faster than your scalp, and so and then the skin on your body is 12 times faster. So you need to make sure that you're actually exfoliating your scalp.
So if you moisturize your face, would you not moisturize your scalp?
As long as it's an appropriate product, if it's not got too many ingredients in there, then it's then going to go and block it, because a lot of people use rosemary oil, and rosemary oil is fantastic. However, if your scalp can't breathe, your scalp, if you want rosemary oil to work, you need to use it 4 times a day.
Well,
That's the only way it's going to work. I mean, it's great stuff, but 4 times a day, nobody's going to use it 4 times a day and then cleanse it off for it to activate. And in fact, I said that wrong. Your scalp ages it 12 times faster than the skin on your body and 6 times faster than the skin on your face. And that's why you don't want an older scalp than you. So you need to make sure your scalp isn't a 90-year-old when you're sort of 50. So we need to look after it. And everybody abuses their scalp. Nobody looks after it.
wow. Okay. Well, that's it's a big wake up call there, isn't it? So we've got to look up rather than focusing on my big takeaways are rather than focusing on washing the hair, we need to wash the scalp because that's the environment for it to grow through. Lots of eggs and just generally washing your hair as much as you wash your face. So if you shower every daily,
Treat it like any other part of your body. That's the top bit of advice, really.
such an inspiration. Always go keeping us on our toes. Go to the hairdresser's trichologist. But yeah, thanks for your time, and we'll catch you soon.
All right. Take care now. Good to see
Yeah.
you.